I'm a self-taught photographer. I didn't have a where to have somebody that would guide me. It's very isolated, and probably that gave me a lot of, introspection. I did all by myself. I do my way, and if it works, fine. If not, that's probably experimental or intuitive. I got involved with a group of photographers that we worked as photojournalists in the street during the coup, the military coup that, made us work like a militancy in a way, in the street, resistance. And well, you learn quite a lot, about many, many things. And at the same time, I started doing my own series, I call, essays, on certain subjects that I wanted to find out, my main interest until now is I go on with identity, that's my interest. I'm not trying to please anybody or to show a point or, stress something or make judgments about things. The Pinochet regime, like any other dictatorships, make you very aware of power and the danger of power, the danger of militaries. Definitely you had to be very, very aware of curfew, my film has been open the camera, that sort of things. But I wasn't arrested. I had this search in my house I had small children, and it's very traumatizing, something like that, And you learn how to move, in those situations. You have to be extremely careful. And then on the other hand, it makes you, develop a lot of solidarity and learning about others and yourself too. But that's a long time ago. Now Chile is in democracy and we have a woman president. We're about to have new elections. During the dictatorship, women organizations were very active. And of course I supported them very much, so I marched with them and I ran the other way and took photographs. Like other women photographers, we were very few, but we all did the same, women participation in those moments was very important. The experimenting, and being very brave, because many of them were, taken by the police and badly treated. Many women have been, still no answer for where they are. We are still working and marching up to now, because we haven't been given an answer, proper answer. It's called Sleepers, Los Dormidos. That was part of one of the first exhibition I had. You had to be careful what you show in an exhibition. You could be censored immediately. So you had to work quite a bit with metaphors continuously, And this scene in the street, that so many people sleeping, I was like depressed, nobody was awake to, what was happening. Now I see the same amount of people sleeping in the street, but I interpret that in a different way. It's an interpretation of your daily life. For me, it was more important the fact that they were asleep, that people couldn't see what was happening or couldn't protest against reality. I am a woman, you know, I belong to a minority, as you can say. You identify with others very easily. And marginals, I mean, it depends on what side you are. You know, if you are on the side of power, others are marginals. But minorities are majority, I think. So that's my point of view, you know, in general. Infarto del alma. Infarto is a stroke of the soul. You know, that's the title I chose for that series. I like that very much. It was my second research into a hospital, psychiatric hospital. I started doing, you know, photos of people in there for a while, and then I discovered that there were these couples, stable, you know, couples, and they liked it very much. You know, those patients of the hospital, when they learned that I had noticed that there were couples, you know, so it was a very wonderful rapport. And I had permission, you know, from the directors of the hospital, and I even stayed at the hospital for some days, or I rented a room outside the hospital, because this is a very small town far from Santiago, where I live. They were the first ones to see the exhibition, you know, the result of all that. And what they liked most, the patients, of course, were their photographs. Curiously, they wanted to get married. That's what they told me all the time. They wanted to get married, and since they were not allowed, you know, this frustration, but when they saw the photos, you know, it became like a certificate of marriage, legitimized. I gave it to them, and they loved it. I spent a lot of time in that hospital, and I was terrified by those scenes, you know, like concentration camps, something that I had to photograph. It also worked as a benefit later on. They changed, they improved everything in the hospital, so at least from that point of view, it worked something good for the hospital too. That's one of the series I like very much. Manzana de Adán, which is Adam's apple, is this what most transvestite covered it. The first thing they did cover was this part of their body. I became very close friends with them, and I worked for about 4.5 years, because you don't have much time during the curfews and all that. So first of all, I met the mother of two of these brothers that were prostitute transvestites, which had been very seriously persecuted, you know. So everything they did was very underground, and then even they had to leave Santiago to another town, a city, Talca, where I was invited again by them, and I lived with them in the brothel for a while. First of all, I need them to know exactly what I'm doing. So it takes some time to research, you know, to have some anthropological methods, and also to win their confidence and respect. First of all, I respect them very much. So it's like a dialogue. I was interested in prostitution. I really wanted to do some research. There was any possibility at all that I could find out about that, except by getting involved by myself. And I worked quite a bit with them, you know. But after a while, they made me promise not to show the pictures. So, you know, I couldn't go on. They were scared of family or children or mother or grandmother, you know, that sort of thing. They didn't want them to know that about their work. I've learned the best things I've learned in my life, you know, like solidarity. I wanted to show women, Chilean woman, that was the title. I travel a lot in Chile. I move around quite a bit, so I wanted to do it from the very north to the extreme south. So we had desert, we have altiplano, we have frontiers with Bolivia, Peru, so we are all mixed, very beautiful ethnic groups. And of course all professions and all kind of works, intellectuals or a nun or a diver, kind of curious works sometimes. To elevate status, that everything was so dignified, to be an intellectual, or the ex-president's wife, like Allende's wife, is also included in my work. Children is very natural. I worked so much with children. And then older people started in those days, fascinating. I was much younger than now. At this moment I should have been part of the series of older people. But it was again like a way to learn about me, it's like a mirror. How would I look? I'm reflecting myself, in others. Passage of time has been something very unconscious. I do it constantly. It's like biographical, it's like, again, the self-portrait, It's how people cope with their own body. That's learning. Nobody teaches you anything like that. It's a way, again, you learn about yourself, about what you've never been told. Everything is very self-reflected, or everything is my self-portrait. I was fascinated with these photographs at cemeteries, What you think about this person who's died, you put this idealized photo, could have been he or her, monster, and they have these wonderful pictures, So I started photographing those photos of photos, and see how people think about their own dears, I thought about a lot of Fayum, the Fayum are those paintings on coffins in Egypt. So it's the idealization of this person, how they want to remember. Photography is still teaching me, about humanity, It's like a school, school for your soul.